Is it fair? Is it fair? What was the business of Ransford Yabua being our main striker in our opening game? Why? So if the likes of Abedi Pele, Anthony Yabua, and the rest were not given the opportunity as local players in the early 80s, would we have discovered the talent Abedi Pele have? No. Why do you invite local players and we don't lose them? Please.
Football ne agro ye na pay ma me pay ma no pay nti omuja mi enkoye ne ye we ya betina koye class na nya no ko school ye ma no so be ball no bi team matter ba ko be for football na ase ni boto dabi ya papa ne ye na nan ne dey ma ne so ti ase o ma mo me enko bi ti ne ye be ka kire ma no
I am cause 90 when mo di ma ye nyina I am disgrace e ma Ghana ni nyina because police want to hear for that disgrace Ghana for and yeah kwani the whole world is trying Ghana for and because of their right it o me be ti Ghana police here because it is great man they supporters any game for here this great I know I'm here say but o me say say mo and no na ebe mo yeah football in about commander I must say commander say the same so
Well, so those were the happenings there at the demonstration, and 1,000, perhaps 2,000 or even more joined in their massive numbers to protest against the fallen fortunes of once in history a very glorious football nation. We haven't performed at top level in the last 3 AFCONs we've played, just 1 victory. And I think it is right that these people vent their spleen on the current administration with the ministry and also the Football Association for what is actually happening. Joining me this morning as one of the, what do I say, conveners of this massive movement to cause a change, Save Ghana Football. She's very experienced. You can see her on my screen. She's young, but you know, she looks young, but she's really
old.
Exactly. She's not old. She's young, but she's a veteran. Veronica Kobe, thanks for joining us
Good
this
to be
morning.
here, Kel.
Yeah, it's been you know, a massive worry for all of us here in the nation due to the fallen fortunes of Ghana football. What actually instigated this, especially for you, Sadiq Adams, Countryman Songo, Christopher Nimley, and all the others who spearheaded this?
We have been watching Ghana's fortune in football for a while. The last 3 AFCONs, like you rightly said, we're averaging 1 game in 10 matches. That is not the Ghana I know. That is not the Ghana I grew up watching. And when we check the temperature of the nation, we seem to be on the same page. People were thinking that the league looks bad. Our junior teams are not qualifying for international games in a while. The under 17 girls, maidens, were banned, and no head road. We are just sloganing our way into, you know, managing football. And this problem we see is for 40 years, because in my lifetime, we've never won the AFCON. So as we watch the trajectory, we realize that it's getting even worse. And for us as stakeholders, you and I are football fans first. Even before we are journalists.
Exactly.
The lawyers, the shoemakers, the market women, we are all football people or football fans. We thought that it was important for us to let our voices be heard. So it was just a matter of the Black Stars as our plume product, without a doubt. And their sources cascade down to every other thing we see. So once the team did not do well in Ivory Coast, we noticed that people were unhappy and were thinking that from 2019 to 2021 to now, it's even gotten worse. And it's about time that we spoke. It's about time that we made our voices be heard, just to see that we can make a few differences. Because I do think that we have a unique opportunity to make a difference, and it is now. It doesn't have to get any worse. It can't sink any worse. It doesn't have to. So that is why we came together as a group, just to be the rallying point for the whole nation. Because wherever you go to, whether you are in the market or the law court or in parliament or wherever, the voice was one. We need to retool our football. We need to make a few changes. And the time is now or never.
The time being now or never, during the protests or the movement, you managed to get to Parliament where you were well received, and then the issue even got to the floor of Parliament where the likes of Anodon Preo, Kujito Ablakwa, honorables managed to speak to the issues and even hit it out at the sports minister, who is also himself an MP, was present in there. Many think that the involvement of government in this may instigate a ban from CAF and FIFA, but we know that you want a number of reforms, a lot of them. We have the document there. I know we would roll it over, but what sort of reforms are you looking at that may not affect or cause a ban for Ghana?
I prefer to see Ghana taking a backstage to make a few changes. And when I say I prefer, this is my opinion, but for the group, we are saying it's important for us to have a policy. When we used to win the Nations Cup, Nkrumah had a policy, and it was deliberate. If we have a policy today, it cures a lot of the problems that we see. Because how are you sharing footballs to just Division 1 and Premier League clubs and boots? It's almost like a misplaced, agenda. And you are thinking that you are developing football. If we have a policy, we do know that it affects all facets of the game to the extent that whether you are a student athlete and you like football and you play football, your career doesn't end at just the school team level. There is an integration that gets you involved. If you are not integrated into any clubs or enrolled in any club across board, it means that whether you are talented or not, no one is seeing you. Football will have to start at the grassroots. We appreciate that government would also have to come through because infrastructure and others, it's something that must be spearheaded by government. So we do believe that this will require a political will. I know people are saying that, okay, we have a qualifier to play World Cup and Nations Cup. It was the same after 2021. We had a qualifier in a few months. So because of that, we rushed into getting a coach. But the results is what we see. I prefer that Ghana won't play at the next event. There are no guarantees that we are even qualifying for these tournaments, than to have a nation that is on the right path in terms of policy, in terms of approach. Because without a doubt, it is the missing ingredient. The GFA setup used to be something that is led by an appointment from government, from Ben Kofi to Dr. Nyahum Tamaklo, when Abedipele was the vice president, to when Galka moved into having President Kwesi Nyanteshi as vice, and then we moved to the democratic dispensation. So a lot has changed since that time. But even then, Ben Kofi had a 5-year development plan that somehow we profited a bit from it. So without a doubt, everything is pointing to one thing, a policy that is deliberate. That would encompass your DNA for Ghana football, everything you need that you can almost measure. But not just because pressure is in town, so I will build two pitches and all that. Those are not a planned thing, And when people say, what is the motive of this demonstration or this movement? I'm saying that it's not personal. If it's personal, the only personal ingredient here is football. We want our football to be better. We want our clubs to go to Africa and do well. We want the league to have sponsors so that you won't get a club playing, or the winner playing 34 games and getting $30,000. We need things to change because you realize that the Black Stars has just become a cow for only a few. It is the reason the FA will spend $100,000 as part of the FIFA forward money to buy footballs and boots for clubs that do not really need it because they pay these clubs. There are players that would need it better if we're targeting development. However, they will have 6 people on the executive, on the management committee,
Black Stars management committee,
and they go to tournaments and they are happy to be rewarded with $100,000 just by being there. Would have paid as a nation for their per diem, their flights and everything, and we reward them with that
Let's
much.
go there and supervise.
Yes, if you're thinking we should applaud you for spending that $100,000 to buy footballs and boots, why do you think there is something wrong with people saying 6 people are getting $600,000? We cannot do this to ourselves.
And with that, some were even asked to pay part of their money, which Alhaji Groza even made mention of that yes, he's paid a part of it, which was 50,000
embarrassing.
to them. But I would ask another question, but because you mentioned the motive, some believe that there is an ulterior motive, some would say an alternate motive, an extrinsic motive behind this. What would you say when you hear those things? They are rumors or the perceptions of others who have also pushed this.
I find it quite laughable because, you see, I have done football for 15 years at least. My career was around when Ben Kofi was the chairman of the Ghana Football Association, Nyantechi and others.
Yeah.
And if you know me, my focus has been one, for better for football.
Exactly.
Because I do say without shame that everything I am is football. I know what it is when football is done well. We all profit in a way. And the people who may not even have the direct benefit, at least they are excited. Should it be that we say we are a football nation, but we no longer can fill the stadium when we are playing football? But if the musicians go to the stadium today to perform because they have a concert, people pay and they still can fill the stadium. They are legitimate questions that if we are not being hypocritical and we ask ourselves, we know that what people are saying about our game is right. If you are thinking that the leaders have an ulterior motive, how about a 76-year-old woman who saw Ghana lead 2-0 in our last group game, came back and we had lost, and her BP went up and she couldn't sleep? She has no voice. Some of us are blessed to have the opportunity to be the interface for the public and authority. Some of us have had that privilege, and you and I do not take that for granted. And I feel that with that responsibility comes also articulating what the ordinary Ghanaian says. The ordinary football fan, it is whether it's my priest in church or the MP in parliament who cannot demonstrate, or the security services who would wish that they could join us to demonstrate, but they can't, or the market woman, or the shoemaker that polished my shoe in the morning. The idea is one, for Ghana football to do well. So when people say that, take another look at them, perhaps it's only because they are profiting directly from the game at the expense of everybody.
Wow. Well, I think very fair comment in there, and then they are only the voice for all the others who cannot stand up for themselves to make sure that the leaders get that message. But let's take a listen to Alhaji Abdul Karim Gruza, who was part of this movement to help save Ghana football. He's been very strong with his words in the last couple of months on the happenings in football in Ghana.
Say Ghana, Parliament.
If Parliament wants to be truthful, how does Ket go unopposed for the elections whilst he had a court case? He doesn't respect the law.
One respecting justice of this country. The biggest highlight.
So that is Alhaji Abdul Karim Gruza. They're very strong with his words in there. But looking at this, the FA have also complained that, yes, in as much as you presented the petition to Parliament, they were also willing and ready to accept it. But how they were treated when they came wasn't really fine.
Well, this is what happened. We engaged the police long before we had the permit to even protest. And the police had a mapped up route for the protest. One thing that they took out was for us to go straight to the Ghana Football Association. They said as they checked the atmosphere or the temperature of the nation, they realized that it may not be safe. People may just go there and they won't be able to control themselves. So that is one thing we all could agree on. The police insisted that when all of this is done, they will lead the conveners only without the crowd to present quietly, to present a petition to the Ghana Football Association. So we operated with that knowledge. However, the crowd was allowed to pay the initial route, was allowed to make a stop at the ministry in Parliament, where the Parliament was waiting for us. And also, the police was going to assist us to present our petition to the president. I think that's been a missing link. We have presented a petition to the president. We had engaged all these people, but the only place we could not go directly would be the GFA and the presidency. The presidency for obvious reasons. So even as we began the protest, the route changed, and a lot of people got angry because they were thinking, okay, we should make a stop at the ministry. And then people wanted to go to the GFA so bad. We, the leaders, knew we had agreed not to go to the GFA with the whole group, but to go on our own.
Yeah.
But with the benefit of hindsight, when people were upset, they were calling us names. You are weak. Why are you not? Why are you agreeing with the police?
Oh,
but
okay.
I am thankful. I prefer to be weak than to have caused any mayhem. On the day, people were so upset that if they went to the FA, anything could have happened.
Okay.
And the result is what you saw there.
Okay.
The FA was not supposed to even come there to pick up the petition.
Okay.
No, we didn't have that arrangement.
All right.
And why they came was a little surprising. But if you saw the reaction of the crowd, and that was a dispersed team, we had dispersed the crowd at that moment.
Yeah.
The leadership had walked to Parliament.
Okay.
And look at what the few people did. It tells you a lot that you cannot take it for granted how people feel.
Yeah, the anger is very natural.
It is
very,
natural,
very
and
natural.
it's raw.
Yeah.
It's that raw. It was evident in how people were speaking. The old women, they know they are football. It's not just that you got a few people to educate or tell them what to say.
Exactly.
People...
You understand? I don't know if you remember our game when that old lady in her room was complaining to the kids and grandchildren why we allowed 2 goals and then the players passed the ball back. I think it's very natural. And they are not the only old people who are complaining about this. The former president of the country, John Agyekum Kufuor, His Excellency, who's 85 years, you know, he spearheaded the country into the first ever World Cup in 2006, making sure that there was a change in the fortunes of the Black Stars. He believes that Keto Kreko is the leader of the GFA and should make sure that he resolves all their faults in the Black Stars and the GFA.
Authority, Kurt, I know you are embattled now from the, sadly, the non-performance of the Black Stars in Cote d'Ivoire. That's pause for you. These days, everybody knows how to play soccer or football around the world. So you don't underrate anybody. You don't get complacent. Perhaps when we do the full analysis, I'm not blaming you, but since you are the head of the institution, naturally, it's leadership. But I'm sure we're going to pull out.
So that is the former president of the country, John Agyekum Kufuor, His Excellency, who will be celebrated on Sunday during the Kufuor Cup in Kumasi. So that is from the president. But we know this is not the end to the movement. What is the next step with regards to this in saving Ghana football?
It's a promise I can make you that we are going the long haul with this.
Okay.
Because we really need to save our game. We really need to see our game come back again. We need to see the shine one more time in all categories of the game. So we are going all the way.
When is the next? Because we hear you're having one very soon.
In Kumasi on the 23rd.
Okay, that is next Friday.
Next Friday in Kumasi. We have calls from all over the country. Everybody wants to, lend in just to show that we are not happy with the game or how the game is being run so that changes can be made.
All right. So in Kumasi, which places are you sending the petition to?
I'm sure in the next few days, that should be very clear.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Veronica Home. She's an experienced broadcaster, yes, a sports journalist, and then we've looked up to her. Thankfully, yes, I don't want to mention her age, but she's not that young, so all the small boys kindly keep her away. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Kelvin.
That's Veronica Home there on the Save Ghana football movement, hoping that we are going to see some changes here. You're still watching Warm-Up Plus here on TV3. We'll be back after this break with a lot more talking about the JA Kufuor Cup as well as matters arising in the Ghana Football Association and also Accra Heart to Folk. It looks like a year where, no grief for anybody is the mantra and it's continuously going on. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back shortly.